I want to give a quick shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much. Hey y'all, it's Kate from the Literary Apothecary, and today we're going to talk about Moneyland, which is book 1 and the Lockdown series by Michael Botur. I read this as part of the Black Phoenix book tours, and this is going to be a rare, not so great review for me. I emailed them to see if they still wanted me to put out this review if it wasn't absolutely gushing. There was some parts that I did enjoy, and I'll talk about that in just a minute. Let me give you a spoiler-free summary of this book so then you can decide on your own if it is something that you want to try. 12 friends were each given $1 million, and all they had to do was survive in a biodome with no food given except for the initial junk food drop, no adults, and no backing out for 12 months. So 12 friends, $12 million, 12 months. This book takes place in the future in 2037, so about 15 years from now. Human jobs are being replaced by machines, and everyone is desperate for money. And that's the main premise behind this book. There's no outside help they can get. There's no outside food, no outside funds, nothing. They're locked in this biodome for 12 months and they have to survive on their own. So what worked for me, because the writing and the prose, although there were many plot conveniences and plot holes, and I couldn't stand any of the characters at all, the prose had me reading until the very end. I had to find out what happened and how it happened and who it happened to. I just had to know. So what didn't work for me, like I said, the characters. I didn't like or feel sympathy for any one of these characters. They all felt like spoiled rich kids that I just didn't care for. They were supposed to be friends, which is why I put friends in quote at the beginning, but they were all incredibly cruel to each other. Even outside of the, survival mentality, you have to do what you can to survive, they were just so awful to each other, and in their thoughts and their way of speaking to each other. Even their allies that they've made amongst each other, they were very, very, very cruel to each other. And I know teenagers are mean and they can be cruel, but they seemed unnecessarily cruel and horrible, and it just was not anything that I could get behind in any circumstance. And it felt like in complete contrast to the feel of the book description. When I read the description of this book before I signed on for the book tour, I felt like we were supposed to be behind our main character. This was supposed to be the one person out of anyone that we would like, and she was one of the characters that I liked the least. It talked about the biggest nerd in the class, but we don't really get that in here. The characters that's supposed to be this biggest nerd is just a person that all the other characters liked least at the start of the book. And the impression that I got from that was not because he was a nerd, was because he had the least amount of money in his family as all the others. This felt like spoiled rich kids in Hunger Games, but in a biodome instead of the Hunger Games atmosphere. The book description said that everyone is fighting for money in this world, that everyone's losing their jobs and they need money to survive, but all of these kids felt like very rich, spoiled kids to me. And so it kind of contrasted that feel that I thought I was going to go into. If based off of the description, it felt much more like an actual Hunger Games adaptation or update, or what do you want to call it, reinvention. But after reading the first book, it feels like the author read The Hunger Games and thought, what if it's with these kinds of characters instead and in this setting, and then completely changed everything. And it was just, there were some things that just felt so unnecessary, and I don't know, I just couldn't get it. I gave it 2 out of 5 stars because, like I said, the prose, the writing really did keep me reading to the very end. If I wasn't part of this book tour, I may have DNF'd it, but I didn't. I read the whole thing and I gave it 2 out of 5 stars. I didn't even knock it down to 1 star. And, you know, I might even improve it a little bit to 2.5 stars because I really was engaged in the actual writing of it, the prose of it, and not the characters. I couldn't feel a single thing for the characters, and that is really, really rare for me. Usually there's at least one character that I can find some kind of sympathy for. So that is why this is a quick review, because I usually don't do negative reviews like this. And I may take this down if Black Phoenix Tour says, no, we'd rather have just positive reviews. But that's it. That's my review of Moneyland by Michael Botur. I really wish that I enjoyed this more than I did. But don't let my opinion stop you from reading this book. I'm sure there are plenty of people out there that would enjoy this book. It was just not for me. So, like I said, don't let my opinion affect whether you try this book or not. I want you all to go out and try this book and let me know if you had the same experience I did or if you enjoyed it tremendously. As always, my Patreon and my Discord information will be in the description below. Keep reading, and I love you all to the moon and back. Bye.